Here's more wrestling news for August 16th, 2021. And your headlines for this afternoon include: current WWE wrestler recalls how a bank robbery shattered his Olympic dreams, WWE changing up NXT television taping schedule, Chris Jericho talks about his retirement match, Randy Orton match added to WWE Raw, WWE gives foreign superstars additional time to sort out visa issues after release, current WWE wrestler's online dating profile uncovered, Kenny Omega blasts Andrade El Idolo for bringing Ric Flair to Triple Mania, Enzo Amore loses casket match to WWE Hall of Famer, and more. We are starting today with Bobby Lashley, the unquestionable top star of Raw, who's expected to retain his WWE Championship against Goldberg at SummerSlam. Lashley's win on the March 1st Raw came over 15 years after his initial WWE debut, but before he stepped in the squared circle, the Almighty had plans on getting to the Olympics. Speaking on the Broken Skull sessions, Lashley explained how a freak incident derailed all his Olympic dreams, saying, "I was going to the bank, do some bank stuff, 3 guys were standing at the side. They had like bandanas kinda on their necks. You wouldn't think they were coming here robbing the bank. As soon as I get into the bank, it's like bam bam. When I later looked down, my knee was like as big as a huge softball at the end. I went and had surgery. That basically ended my not ended my amateur wrestling career, but I would not have been able to go to the Olympic trials. It was just too close." Who knows what Lashley could have done had that terrible event not happened, but we are certainly glad that Lashley was able to leave with his life and follow a career in professional wrestling. Over to NXT next, as the Gold brand has been going through some changes, which included a dozen superstars and a referee losing their jobs last week. NXT is having a complete overhaul, which will include a new logo and a focus on younger, bigger guys rather than smaller veterans, and their filming schedule is also changing. On Twitter, Brian Alvarez reported that NXT will go back to taping shows in advance, starting next Monday and Tuesday nights, the first shows after this Sunday's TakeOver 36. Alvarez added that this taping schedule may be temporary, but it's what's in place for the indefinite future. We'll have to see what the future holds for NXT, as Triple H is slowly being pushed out of power by his father-in-law, but right now, shows will be taped in advance and aired at a later date. AEW news now, as Chris Jericho was one of the company's first signings, joining nearly 20 years after he debuted for the WWF. Last year, Jericho celebrated his 30th anniversary in the wrestling industry, and over that time, his body has taken a lot of damage. Speaking on The Bubba Show on 100.7 Star, the 50-year-old wrestler discussed his career and how his last match is fast approaching, even if the fans can't feel it. He said, "Whenever I have the last match, who knows when that might be? It all depends on what the storyline is and what's going on at the time, but I don't think I'm going to be one of those guys that has like, this is the last match and it's the big brouhaha, and then cry at the end of it as Jericho wipes the tears away and goes thank you for the memories. I'm not that type of guy. When I have my last match, you might not even know it." Jericho has had a career most wrestlers could only dream of and is a surefire Hall of Famer one day. But the former undisputed and AEW World Champion is keeping quiet about when his last match will be. Back to WWE, and for the past year, the company has released countless stars, with many names originating from outside the US. Losing your job is never easy, but it's especially difficult in a different country, as for many wrestlers, their work visas are dependent on their jobs at WWE, and that's something the company takes into consideration. According to Fightful Select, when the WWE releases a non-US citizen, that superstar is given an additional 60 days on top of their 90-day non-compete clause to allow them to work out any issues with their visas. This means that superstars are given about 5 months from being released to get things in order, and if they haven't been able to find work in that time, only then are they sent back to their native countries. Some ex-superstars, such as the Iconics, haven't been able to make any money since being released due to issues with their visa, but they've been given more time to get everything in order thanks to WWE. Speaking of working overseas, WWE hasn't been able to compete in Saudi Arabia for over a year now, and these missed dates have been added to the end of their current 10-year contract. A lot has been reported about WWE's return to Saudi Arabia, such as that the King and Queen of the Ring finals will happen at the next overseas show, which has now been announced for October. On social media, Wrestling Club, an Arabic pro wrestling Twitter page, revealed that advisor to the Royal Court and chairman of General Authority for Entertainment, Turki Al-Sheikh, has now confirmed that WWE's next event in the country will take place in October. WWE's original deal with Saudi Arabia was meant to end in 2028, but the shows missed over the past year have been tacked on to the end of their existing deal, and we'll have to see how long it takes for WWE to announce their next trek to Saudi Arabia now that the news is already out there. For the past few months, fans have been enjoying the budding romance of Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis in NXT, better known on TV as Index. The odd couple have had some detractors, and now Robert Stone is trying to put a wedge between the happy lovebirds. On Twitter, Stone shared a picture of a Match.com dating profile, seemingly from Lumis himself, and said, "I hate to be the bearer of bad news to you, Indy, but I had my eyebrow threader's good friend, who is an investigator, do a little research on your man, and hashtag Dex Lumi is a playa." The profile in question says that Lumis is, quote, very single, that his hobbies are magnets, and his favorite food is milk steak and jelly beans, a reference to the comedy phenomenon It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We'll have to see how this story plays out, as Candice LeRae said she won't leave the angle because of a real-life pregnancy, saying that Hartwell needs her at this time. Both she and Johnny Gargano have made it clear that they want to split the couple up, and now another person is on their side, trying to separate Index. Over to AAA next, as AAA Mega Champion Kenny Omega retained his title last weekend against Andrade El Idolo, who had a very special guest in his corner. Before the match, Andrade was accompanied by his future father-in-law Ric Flair mere days after the Nature Boy left WWE. Despite Flair's appearance, Omega retained his title, and after the match, the Cleaner put Andrade on blast for involving the dirtiest player in the game. He said, "Hey Andrade, I'll admit it, you're tough, you came close, but that stunt with Ric Flair? Not in 2021 and not in my ring, pal, you made it personal." The stunt in question saw Flair get in the ring as Omega was looking to hit Andrade with the title, and together, Flair and El Idolo delivered some vicious chops to the champion. Now Omega's attention turns to All Out on September 5th, where he'll defend the AEW World title against Christian Cage, the man who took the Impact World title from him last week, but the Cleaner hasn't forgotten about Andrade or the Nature Boy. And we're ending today with Jerry the King Lawler, who's faced all manner of opponents in his legendary career, but he recently had possibly his strangest match to date. At WrestleFest 25 in Poughkeepsie, New York, Lawler took on former WWE superstar Enzo Amore, now going by just Enzo, and for some reason, it was a casket match. Typically, casket matches are the final encounter in a blood feud between opponents, but this one occurred with no build. It was a strange match to say the least, which started with Enzo coming out to Dean Martin's That's Amore, and he avoided saying the name Amore himself as WWE owns that name. It was ultimately the King who got the win thanks to a big assist from some brass knuckles in a strange but fun match that the fans definitely enjoyed. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.